SeaChange 2022 is presented to you by Microsoft, PNC Bank, and Wright Hotels. Proud partners also include Alaska Airlines. Additional support comes from Accenture, Bloomberg, Fox Rothschild, K&L Gates, KPMG, Martin Smith Incorporated and Pierce 55 and 56 LLC, Shoecart Incorporated, SSA Marine, and Washington Trust Bank. We would also like to thank Benbridge Jewelers, Hermans & Company LLP, and Trutina Financial. The Seattle Aquarium would like to express immense gratitude to all of our financial corporate partners, volunteers, supporters, donors, and members for helping us create a sea change so we can leave our ocean and our world healthier than we found it.
Hi, I'm Bob Davidson. I'm President and CEO of the Seattle Aquarium. Welcome to SeaChange 2022. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. It's going to make a difference for the ocean, for climate change, and for the Seattle Aquarium. For a long time at the Seattle Aquarium, we've thought of ourselves as working for sustainable practices. And what we've realized with the changes in global climate and the conditions of the ocean is that sustainable means just keep things as good as they are today. That's not good enough. We've got to go back and make it better than it is today if we're all going to survive on this planet. Before we move on, let's take a moment to thoughtfully acknowledge the contributions of the Coast Salish people and their relationship to the lands and the waters on which we stand, going back thousands of years and also continuing to this day and into the future, into time immemorial. For this reason, the Coast Salish tribes have informed our work, our education programs, our research programs, our work for endangered species here on Puget Sound, the Salish Sea, and beyond. The mission of the Seattle Aquarium is inspiring conservation of our marine environment, and we've been delivering on that mission since the aquarium's doors opened in 1977. Almost 1 million people a year come through the Seattle Aquarium, and they come from all over the world, and they learn about the one world ocean and the importance of human actions to make it healthy. This is a defining moment for our society and for the Seattle Aquarium in taking action for the ocean and for the future. Tonight, we're going to hear from some great leaders in ocean policy, including Dr. Sylvia Earle, who partners with us and organizations around the world for the protection of millions of acres of the ocean for the future. This is the 9th SeaChange event, if you can believe it, and I want to focus on the second word of the title of the event, which is change. And so I just ask you to consider that and give generously tonight because our future depends upon it. Thank you for joining us tonight because together we can make a difference for the Seattle Aquarium and our one world ocean. And now I'm happy to introduce our host for this evening, Dr. Jim Wharton.
Thanks, Bob. Hi, I'm Jim Wharton. I'm the Director of Conservation Engagement and Learning here at the Seattle Aquarium. And welcome to SeaChange. It's our most important fundraiser of the year. Now, our goal today is to raise $500,000. We can only do it with your help. Now, take a look at the contribution link on your screen. Your contributions will make a tangible and lasting impact on the Salish Sea and our one world ocean. Tonight's the night to push beyond sustainability to regeneration. We can do more than merely minimize our impact on the planet. Much more. We can bring health back to our ocean and our communities, starting right here in our own backyard. You know, it was the mission of the Seattle Aquarium that drew me back to the Pacific Northwest. I've never been associated with a more mission-focused organization. Now, our team in the Conservation Engagement Group, it's our job to bring that mission forward every day with our guests in schools, and in the community. What could be more important to regenerate than our connection to wild animals and wild places? We're in the midst of a watershed moment for the aquarium, for the waterfront, and the city of Seattle. So much so that the Board of Directors and the Board of Meriti have agreed to match your contributions dollar for dollar. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for being part of a change, a sea change for our future. And so now I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Erin Meyer, Director of Conservation Programs and Partnerships. Erin's here to share some of the exciting regenerative work that we're doing in the Salish Sea and over in the Coral Triangle. Over to you, Erin.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Jim. I'm so glad you all have decided to join us this evening for SeaChange, because we are really at a turning point here on planet Earth and for our ocean and for all the people around the world. So we here at the Seattle Aquarium have set out a really bold vision toward becoming a regenerative organization. And what does that mean? That means giving back more than we're taking from the ocean, giving back more than we're taking from communities, and giving back more than what we're taking from the planet. Life on this planet, quite literally, cannot exist without a functioning, healthy ocean. And we have one world ocean that connects all of us. Every other breath we take comes from the ocean. 50 to 80% of the oxygen in the air is produced by the ocean. But it's more than that. It provides life, it provides food, and it provides joy to each and every one of us. And in order for the ocean to continue to give to us and provide to us, we have to start giving back. I've known that I wanted to be a marine biologist since I was about 4. I have a very distinct memory of walking through the halls of this very aquarium, walking into the dome, which was one of the most powerful experiences. And it was in that moment that I realized, okay, so now I've had a little glimpse into what it looks like underwater, and now I want to see for myself what's going on. So my career has taken me all around the world. There are very few conservation organizations out there that have a communications platform, and there are none out there that have a communications platform and scientists and policy expertise and expertise in animal care and welfare. And the Seattle Aquarium is that place. And I was drawn back to the Seattle Aquarium with those memories from my childhood, coming back here for my career, because it's a place that has all of the experience and expertise necessary in order to truly achieve and push forward a regenerative future for this planet. So there's so many incredible conservation programs that we do here at the Seattle Aquarium, and I don't have time to talk about all of them. So instead, I'm going to talk about some of my favorites. So we launched just last year our species recovery program. We launched a project here locally focused on pinto abalone, the only species of abalone native here to Washington. We lost 95% of that species after just 50 years of the recreational fishery being open. It's a species that needs humans to step in, helping them to breed and release those animals back out, and that's just what we're doing. We built a nursery here at the Seattle Aquarium to raise and rear those animals. We're releasing our first ones actually in just a couple weeks. And pinto abalone, what do? They live on the rocks and they're scraping algae off the rocks when they're younger. That's important because it creates space for more organisms to come in and settle into that now bare rock. When they get older, they're eating kelp in the kelp forest as well, keeping the ecosystem cycling. There are also animals out in the wild that eat them. Sea otters, amazing, love abalone, and I guarantee you they would love to start eating them again. Octopus eat abalone. There are also larger species of fish that eat abalone as well. So they're providing a food resource, they're creating new habitat for other animals to come in and settle, and they're also cleaning up the kelp forest. So what do kelp forests do? That kelp sequesters carbon. And not only does it sequester carbon, it can sequester more carbon than the trees on land. Let's just absorb that for a minute. They are literally the giant redwoods of our oceans. And these ecosystems also need our help in restoring them because they're impacted by climate change. And so we actually have a new project that we're getting off the ground in just a couple months in collaboration with the Port of Seattle, doing research right here along the Seattle waterfront to understand urban kelp so that we can support additional restoration of those kelp forest ecosystems and also help create the enabling conditions for life. So the other project that I wanted to tell you a little bit more about tonight is our ReShark initiative. We have over 60 partners now in 12 countries working together to co-create solutions to the loss of sharks and rays around the world. There are over 400 species of sharks and rays listed as critically endangered or endangered today. And the first species we're tackling is a species that we call here in the US anyway, a zebra shark. Where it lives, it's often called an Indo-Pacific leopard shark because when they're juveniles, they have stripes, and when they're older, they have spots. So we launched the ReShark initiative, and we just finished last month training our first cohort of aquarists who are going to be stationed at these new nurseries in Indonesia. And sometime later this year, we will bring our first batch of shark eggs from the US to these nurseries in Indonesia and watch them grow and hatch, and then they'll be tagged and released out into marine protected areas in Indonesia. So regeneration isn't just about putting animals back in the ocean or restoring impacted ecosystems. It's also about recognizing that we have other impacts on the ocean through marine debris and pollution. So here at the Seattle Aquarium, and actually right here in this lab, we are the first in the state to be monitoring microplastics, to understand what's going on, how much microplastics are in there, and also to help us understand why and how they're getting into the water. But we don't just stop at research. Our policy team is working in Olympia, and they're working in Washington, D.C., and they're working with partners all around the country to help stop the flow of plastics, to stop the production of plastics, so that we can keep those plastics out of the ocean and reduce that harm on the animals that live there. Our regenerative vision also means looking internally and looking at ourselves as an organization. So the Seattle Aquarium's vision is to be the first regenerative aquarium. We've been carbon neutral since 2012. So instead, our goal around energy and emissions is to be climate positive. We have to use fresh water and salt water and energy to create the enabling conditions for life inside of our walls. So if we can reduce our usage and still provide excellence in animal care and welfare, the office building down the street can also be regenerative. And every building around the world can be regenerative. But as Bob Davidson, our CEO, says, we don't pride ourselves in being the first, but being the first of many. Because we can't truly move our planet to being regenerative if we're standing up there alone. Your support this evening is allowing us to redefine what an aquarium is. You have the ability to join us in helping us to change the future, helping us to realize our vision to being a regenerative aquarium and pushing us and the planet toward a regenerative future. Join us, whether that's by donating to the aquarium or whether that's by being a volunteer. Get inspired, reconnect with your purpose and your relationship to the ocean, and share your empathy for ocean animals with others. I have hope for our future, and together with all of you, we can change the future. So thank you. And back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Erin. Now, support from viewers like you make regenerative programs like these possible. If you're curious how much to give, here are some ways your contributions can make an impact. Your generous gift of $10,000 could support one research trip to survey the Hawaiian coral reefs, providing invaluable data that affect local management decisions to improve ocean health. At the $5,000 level, your contribution enriches the aquarium visitor experience by covering the cost of outfitting a staff diver, allowing them to communicate with guests during daily diver shows. Your gift of $2,500 could fund important research, like our annual sea otter survey, which monitors environmental impacts on nearshore ecosystems. Your gift of $1,000 covers the cost of continuing education classes for 30 youth volunteers, ensuring our youth ocean advocates are expert interpreters for our guests. At the $500 level, your gift could fund the initial diagnostics and the first week of critical care for a rescued sea turtle. Your gift of $300 could purchase enrichment items like boomer ball toys for marine mammals to keep them mentally stimulated and healthy. Your gift of $100 could feed a single harbor seal fresh, sustainable seafood for a month. And at the donor's choice amount, no matter how much you're able to contribute, your support will inspire bold action to care for animals and protect our one world ocean. Speaking of animals, did you know that the aquarium is home to nearly 400 species and well over 1,200 individual mammals, birds, fish, and invertebrates? Now, to tell you more about these ocean ambassadors and their key role in our conservation work is another of my colleagues, Director of Life Sciences, Grant Abel. Grant?
Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate that. And it's very exciting for me to be here and talk to you tonight about what we're doing in the Life Sciences Department and all the things that we're doing to be a regenerative aquarium. I started working in aquariums unofficially at a very young age when my father used to manage the marine land in New Zealand back in the late 1960s. And I remember going out with my father and the marine land crew, and you would see from horizon to horizon these schools of dolphins, or there'd be basking sharks at the surface and sunfish, and the oceans were just alive. You don't see that anymore. So it's been a lifelong passion, a lifelong work and study, because the ocean is where it all began. That's where life began on our planet. The thing that attracted me to Seattle Aquarium is in its thinking and way of doing things, the empathy program and the ocean ethic. In New Zealand, we call that kaitiakatanga, which is the Maori way of thinking about yourself as a guardian of the environment. And so using what you need and only taking what you need and ensuring and preserving that what's left is there for other generations. And so an ocean ethic is something similar. I think it's very timely that there is this projection of the ethics of what we do and how we impact the environment in what we do. But if a community or society or an individual for that matter doesn't care, they're not going to do anything about it. And empathy is the beginning of caring in my way of looking at things. I think the Seattle Aquarium Empathy Program helps people think about the impact that we individually and we as a community have in the environment. That's got to be the first step, and then from that flows all of this other thinking and way of interacting with the environment that's more sustainable or regenerative in this case. I mean, the veterinary centre that was recently opened, that we're in, and having people be able to watch what goes on in here demonstrates our commitment to being fully transparent and engaging the public in not just seeing animals at their best, but seeing animals in need of help, wild animals, and seeing the people behind the scenes. This is vitally important. I mean, the back of house, what used to be regarded as the back of house, really is now the new front of house. And it's not just in the veterinary science area either, it's also in our husbandry and breeding of other animals, fish and invertebrates, that we want to make more and more accessible for our guests. So it's a very important step in that regard, so that people can get a much deeper understanding of what's involved in caring for these animals. I mean, the animals are our sentinels, right? And what we're finding with our mammals and birds in particular, that they're living well beyond the natural life expectancy for their species in the wild, and also, interestingly, well beyond the general life expectancy for their species in other zoos and aquariums. We have developed techniques for handling the animals, particularly veterinary conservation medicine, that has been developed over many, many years, that we know is successful because we see it in the health of our animals and the welfare of our animals here. What we're able to do is transpose that care, that technology, to care for animals in the wild. And that includes rehabilitating stranded animals and returning them to the wild. And I think that's where there's a direct link between the life sciences work that we do to become part of that regeneration, part of regrowing or augmenting these populations of animals around the world as much as we can. I think the work that is planned and scheduled and coming down the pipe will have a global impact. We work with partners all around the world in our various programs without exception. And the Coral Triangle region of Southeast Asia is really the first step of many more to come of regions and programs working with whether it's sharks or other species. I think one of the great benefits as well is that it's engaging local communities in those countries. This is not about people from North America parachuting into a country and saying, well, we can fix it up for you. That's never worked, and actually we can't fix it up for you. But what we can do is help give you the tools you need to be able to manage the environment in a better way, and for it to have a greater value as a healthy ecosystem rather than the dollar value of individual items being removed from that ecosystem and sold on the open market. Without doubt, there is no way that we can do this alone. Humanity needs to galvanize ourselves to ensure that we can reverse the global climate change that we're all experiencing and ensure prosperity for the future, not just for humanity, but also for all its living things in general. We can only do that as a community. Please do seriously consider supporting the aquarium in whatever way you can, because your support will truly help the oceans and help our future. Thank you. And back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Grant. You know, the new vet clinic is nothing short of amazing, and it is a key component to how we provide top-notch veterinary care for the animals here at the aquarium. Now, providing this level of care is how we demonstrate our empathy for these animals. And empathy is an incredibly important part of the conservation work of the aquarium. Now, what could be more important than reaching out to understand the needs and perspectives of other animals, both humans and non-humans? A great example is our Empathy Fellowship program. Now, the Empathy Fellowship was designed to create pathways into careers in aquariums, zoos, and the conservation field for communities of color and other marginalized communities. The Empathy Fellowship is a one-year paid job experience in the conservation field with an emphasis on the ways that empathy can play a role in community-based conservation efforts. Your support is exactly what we need to make empathy programs like these happen. So join us in helping reach our $500,000 goal. Just a reminder, all of your donations will be matched dollar for dollar by our Aquarium Board of Directors and Board of Maritime. The power and beauty of the Salish Sea and our one world ocean inspire joy and shape cultures all over the world. Now, the ocean is also our critical life support system. Nobody knows that better than our next speaker, Dr. Sylvia Earle. A pioneering marine biologist, scientist, and oceanographer, Dr. Sylvia Earle has dedicated her life to the health of our ocean and our future. A National Geographic Explorer in residence, she was the first female chief scientist of the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and was named by Time magazine as its first hero for the planet. She's inspired and worked with presidents, world leaders, and more than 200 partner organizations, including the Seattle Aquarium. More and more areas of the ocean are now protected because of her tireless energy, and we've been privileged to walk hand in hand with her on our journey of conservation and regeneration. And now, it's with great pleasure that I introduce our keynote speaker, Her Deepness, Dr. Sylvia Earle.
Thank you, Jim. It's really a pleasure, an honor for me to be here at the Seattle Aquarium. Really impressed with the energy that's here. I think the fish are impressed too. They really have the kind of life that I think most fish would wish to have, free food, good medical care, and people who really appreciate who they are, not just what they are. I'm particularly pleased to see how this place has really focused so strongly on conservation, on taking care of the ocean. Of course, in the Great Northwest, in this region, but to understand that wherever you are on the planet, you're connected to everything else. The actions such as those being taken right here at the Seattle Aquarium, looking at the coral triangle on the other side of the world and understanding it relates to climate, and that what is happening here in the Salish Sea, the kelp forests, the coastal vegetation, the upstream natural systems, the creatures that go back and forth like salmon, they're like conduits that bring together the land and sea. It's understanding how it all works and realizing we have to give back, put back, restore what we can, and certainly respect what is currently working in order to solve the climate crisis. I've had the great pleasure of seeing the journey of the Seattle Aquarium from its beginning in 1977 to here we are well into the 21st century. I remember actually having a chance to dive right here under the pilings at the Seattle Aquarium and seeing a beautiful, beautiful big octopus. One of those legendary, gorgeous red octopuses that a few have come to take temporary habitation here at the aquarium, but this one was under the aquarium, at least under the dock. And it was so exciting to see both on the outside in the Sailor Sea and inside the Seattle Aquarium. And to see the evolution in terms of this place increasingly taking to heart the importance of caring for the ocean and fostering exploration, getting to know fish beyond having them on display, and the embracing of the ethic of caring and sharing the knowledge and sharing the urgency of why we have to take that knowledge and put it into action. I see that vision strongly represented right here at the Seattle Aquarium. We can do things now that we could not do before and that may not be possible to do again unless we hurry, to save and respect, restore the natural world that makes our existence possible. Look at just what's happened in my lifetime. Perception was that the ocean was the best place to put things you don't want in your backyard. The ocean is so big, so vast. You put it in the ocean, it goes under the surface, it goes away. Except now we know there is no away on this little blue planet. Everything that we generate is still here. Where have we thought that it goes anyway? It doesn't just disappear. Even when we put things in the atmosphere, that comes back to haunt us too. And one of the things now in the atmosphere that we never imagined would be a problem are the tiny little itsy bitsy pieces of plastic that happen when plastic degrades. They just get wafted up, you breathe them, you fall into the water, you drink them. They get consumed by the creatures that we consume, including those that we take from the ocean as a source of food. All of the children of the present and future have to deal with this really serious issue of changing basically the chemistry of the ocean, our chemistry, the chemistry of life through these synthetic materials that do serve us well in so many ways, but there's a dark side, a downside that we now have to address. The other thing that has happened that is transformative is how much has been lost. When you think that 90% of many of the big fish in the ocean have been taken, extracted by us. Tunas and swordfish and sharks. Down all the list of creatures that we have come to take for granted as something that we could take out of the ocean with no concern because they would always come back, we thought. But now we know that there are limits, really, how much can be taken and still have an ocean that functions in ways beyond just producing tons of fish for consumption or anything else that we take, oil, gas, minerals. This is a moment in time as never before that we are armed with knowledge. At the climate conference in Glasgow, Scotland in 2021, the ocean was front and center for the first time, and to understand that in order to go from where we are currently relative to climate with problems that are really seriously impacting our future, what can we do to reverse this trend, stabilize climate, and look forward to a better future, an enduring future. So a lot of actions that have been proposed about drawing down carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and various fixes that can be employed, engineering fixes, but I think it was really exciting to see nature-based solutions front and center. How do we get to a favorable climate for humans in the first place? It's taken about 4.5 billion years to take rocks and water and transform the early Earth through many phases till we get to the history of humankind. It's taken us only about 4.5 decades to seriously unravel those systems that capture carbon, that generate oxygen, that distribute temperature throughout the whole world, the ocean, through its currents, through absorbing heat and cold. This planetary system, the ocean systems, but it's a living system. That's the part that I think has finally sharply come into focus, that it's respect and care for the natural systems and restoring what we can, looking at the whole network of life. And that's where the Seattle Aquarium comes in, right at this crossroads in time. Never before could we know what we now know. Never again will we have a better chance to reverse this decline. So, what is the Seattle Aquarium doing about it? Two in particular are really examples of the ethic, the approach. How do you put things back together again? How to restore systems once they're greatly depleted? Well, it helps to think like a shark. It helps to think like that charismatic creature called the abalone. This is really one example of why being a 21st century human being is cause for hope. And what is happening here at the aquarium to restore health to the ocean. One abalone, one shark, one system at a time, and to get others to inspire all of those who come under the spell of the aquarium to see, and maybe to get them to care and take action too. This is a place where people are changed in the way they think, not just about the ocean, about creatures in the sea, but how they think about themselves. And you can see it happening in real time, just watching the reaction of the kids as they take it in and have it as a part of what they henceforth know. Once you know something, you can't unknow it. This aquarium is really capturing the hearts and minds, the imagination of kids, but it's a two-way street. The kids are capturing the minds and hearts and imagination of the people here at the Seattle Aquarium. In fact, a new generation of ocean heroes are being created right here at the Seattle Aquarium. Since 1994, the Seattle Aquarium has trained and deployed more than 2,300 youth ocean advocate volunteers. In the last full year of the program, 287 youth volunteered more than 31,000 hours, educating the aquarium's visitors, cleaning beaches, restoring habitat, and learning about the ocean. These young people are helping to shape a movement of a hopefully thriving ocean future. I had the pleasure of meeting one of them earlier this week. Take a look. So, Alice, what inspired you to want to become a youth ocean advocate for the Seattle Aquarium?
It all started when I was about 3 years old. My parents took me to SeaWorld for the first time, and I just fell in love immediately. And I think it really hit me when I saw my first orca. I think it was definitely love at first sight, I would say. So since then, I I've been so passionate about marine life and marine biology. And one of our family friends was telling me how he was a youth ocean advocate in the aquarium. And I looked up the program on the aquarium's website, and I was just so excited about all the different opportunities I had. So I didn't hesitate to apply.
So what have you learned?
I would say a lot of things. I've learned to listen to my peers and to learn by my mistakes. I've made a lot for sure. But I also learned many communication skills and how to interpret and really get to people's hearts.
This aquarium is very special by having programs such as what you're involved with. So you've been able to connect with others?
Yes,
Other
definitely.
kids?
I've made so many friends through this program. We all hang out a lot, and every time we get together, our main topic is always about marine animals and our oceans.
So you learn from each other
Definitely.
and from the creatures.
They're all so smart, intelligent, they're beautiful, so I learn something new every day. Well, Dr. Sylvia, I would actually like to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
So, what inspired you to become a marine biologist and an oceanographer, and what did you hope to achieve?
Well, like you, I was 3 years old when the ocean got my attention. I got knocked over by a wave on the beach in New Jersey. But what has held my attention all these years is the life in the ocean. It's irresistible. For me, it's been a journey as a scientist, not only to learn whatever I can about the ocean and who lives there and how everything connects. I've been a witness to this time of great change, extraordinary exploration and discovery, but also a time of extraordinary loss. We need the ocean as much as any shark or dolphin, whale, or coral reef. The ocean keeps us alive. We have to turn around now and keep the ocean alive. So I'm motivated increasingly to do whatever I can as a scientist, as a mom, as a grandmother, as a human being, to do whatever I can to get others to try to see what I see, to go into the ocean, to see for themselves what it's like. It's hard to care about something if you don't know about it. So the more we know about the ocean, the more who can get involved personally, the better the chance that we will actually turn from decline to recovery. And that's exactly what you're doing, learning about the ocean and caring about the ocean and getting others to dive in too.
So you've worked with many animals over the years. What would you say is one animal that reflects your personality?
Well, I've often wished to be an octopus, to be able to just experience what it's like to have your whole body change shape, color, and to use your body to go back in little crevices and, imagine that sense of touch that is exquisitely well developed in cephalopods. And here I am, just plain old human being.
So you have a new book out called Ocean, A Global Odyssey. And what do you hope this book will achieve and get into the hearts of people?
I hope the book helps to inspire people to be motivated to learn more about the ocean, to do what they can to take care of it. We've got to develop a new ethic of caring. And there's a goal to get to at least half of the land and sea highly or fully protected by 2050. So this is something that, as a witness, you'll get to see. Are we going to make it? Can we really achieve this new era of respect and care for the planet and reverse the decline? This book, I hope, offers hope that we will.
Yeah, your book really does end with a message of hope. What would you say to me and to younger generations about what we can do to help the future of our oceans?
Well, consider yourself the luckiest kids ever to arrive, because you have available knowledge that didn't exist when I was a kid. People had not been to the deepest part of the ocean, let alone high in the sky. Nobody knew what Earth looked like from space. No one had been to the moon, and you have evidence that did not and could not exist until right about now. So you're armed with the superpower of knowing it's never going to get better than this moment, and it's your time, your moment, to embrace what we know and just take it and run with it. To be able to not only protect the library of life that is still there, but to learn from it, to ask the questions that you started asking when you were much younger. Keep asking those questions. So I say that to you, but it's to the whole world right now. This is our moment. This is your moment. Let's go for it.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute honor getting to speak with you. So thank you for joining us.
It's the other way around. It's my honor to speak with you, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. The Salish Sea. Just look at this place. It's partly because of its natural diversity and beauty, the land and sea so intimately connected. But here in particular, you have land, sea, and people who have lived in this place for a very long time. It's a microcosm for the whole world. A hope spot, because if you can protect these areas, really highly protect them, it protects a lot of the diversity that's cause for hope. This process of naming hope spots was to ignite public support, to explore and to do what it takes with every means possible. Film, new submersibles, you name it. And to embrace special places in the ocean with care. Hope spots large enough to save and restore the blue heart of the planet, the ocean. Like the Galapagos Islands, like the Patagonian Shelf, the Arctic, the Antarctic. Who could say we shouldn't be protecting these areas? Since then, Mission Blue has been formed as an organization to work with communities, with champions around the world who are willing to step up and say that they care, and they're willing to commit to doing something to a place that they know and love in the ocean. So there are now 140 places around the world, and I should not pick favorites, but the Salish Sea is one of them. Why, how could it not be? So here we are, early in the 21st century. Try to imagine that you are instead here in the beginning of the next century, looking back. Would you be saying, why didn't they do something when they still had time? Or could you be that kid in the 22nd century saying, yes, thank you, my predecessors, that would be you, us now, for listening and taking to heart the evidence and understanding this is the first time you've really been able to put the patterns together to see what no one could see before, and to take action that no one could take before because we did not know enough. We've already witnessed extinctions of animals in the sea. The monk seal that was once in the Gulf of Mexico when I was in high school, gone forever because we weren't paying attention and we killed every last one. And we can look at how close many species are right now, which comes right back to we're the luckiest people ever to live, armed with knowledge, the best chance we'll ever have. Well, we still have 10% of the sharks. We still have some bluefin tuna. There are still some vaquita remaining in the Gulf of Baja California. What else is on the line that we still have a chance to not lose? We still have hope. If we know enough soon enough, whether it's an abalone or a little leopard shark, the diverse life that we're losing in coral reefs even before we have names for them. This is maybe the most important time in all of human history, armed with that sense of urgency. We must continue to explore. We must take these blank places and fill them with knowledge so that we can do a better job of giving back and of taking care of these vital ocean systems and connected to the vital terrestrial systems, land and sea, rivers to the ocean, ocean back to the land, all of it, one big blue miracle in a universe that's really not very friendly to humans. This is the best chance we will ever have. We've got all the ingredients right now. Fewer than existed when I was a kid, but enough if we take care. And if we give nature a break, give ourselves a break, we can be that generation that will be celebrated through all future time. That we woke up and took action soon enough to make peace with nature, to really secure a place for ourselves within the natural systems. They give us water, they give us air, to give us life. Now we know, and the key is taking that knowledge, the knowledge that's here at the Seattle Aquarium, ready to give it back to people who are willing to come and be inspired. By supporting the Seattle Aquarium, you can make a difference by helping them make a difference. Step up, step in, be involved with the Seattle Aquarium. You'll find friends there who can take whatever it is that you can do, that you want to do, and magnify that good. So, thank you. Thank you, all of you. I can't wait to see the next phase of the aquarium's journey, and for me, as a witness and a participant in every way I can. Now, back to you, Jim.
Thanks, Sylvia. You know, when our backyard, the Salish Sea, is considered a hope spot, it inspires us at the Seattle Aquarium to do even more to make sure that we leave our ocean and our world healthier than we found it. We hope that Sylvia has also inspired you. Give generously and become part of the pivotal generation that will inspire worldwide ocean ethic. Help us reach or even exceed our $500,000 goal by using the contribution link on your screen. Your support will have ripple effects. The conservation and regeneration programs here will have a global impact now and far into the future. And now here are some of my favorite friends who would like to thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting SeaChange. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting the Seattle Aquarium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Thanks, donors.
Thank you.
Thank you for supporting SeaChange.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending SeaChange. We are so grateful you've joined us to make a difference. We can all be part of the solution through actions big and small. If I could make 3 suggestions, I might start with just do all the environmental things. Reduce your carbon and plastic footprint, buy less, reuse more, eat more plants, support sustainable seafood and local foods of all kinds. But don't do it because somebody asked you to. Do it because you understand that ocean health is human health. Now, second, I'll ask you to just have a conversation. Talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to your community. Talk to them about the ocean and why it's important to you. And think about what voices, what ideas, what perspectives are missing from ocean conservation. And finally, I'd ask you to vote. Vote with the ocean in your heart and in your mind. Vote like the future depends on it, because it does. And finally, I want to remind you that there is still time to help us meet or exceed our $500,000 goal. And thank you again. We are so grateful for your generosity and your commitment to our one ocean and one future.
SeaChange 2022 is presented to you by Microsoft, PNC Bank, and Wright Hotels. Proud partners also include Alaska Airlines. Additional support comes from Accenture, Bloomberg, Fox Rothschild, K&L Gates, KPMG, Martin Smith Incorporated and Pierce 55 and 56 LLC, Shoecart Incorporated, SSA Marine, and Washington Trust Bank. We would also like to thank Benbridge Jewelers, Hermans & Company LLP, and Trutina Financial. The Seattle Aquarium would like to express immense gratitude to all of our financial corporate partners, volunteers, supporters, donors, and members for helping us create a sea change.